Our guy was slapped with a $1 billion loan by his own friends, all because, when the boss's health was down to just 1% with victory only a heartbeat away, he was forcefully logged out of the game, leaving his raid party in shock. The reason? His goddamn cat decided to take a nap on his face, suffocating both him and his miserable life. That raid was supposed to change his life, freeing him from work forever. But that life-changing raid? Oh, it changed his life alright. It crushed him with a $1 billion loan that could make a small country weep. Yet he didn't stop, and that very misfortune became the turning point that led him to rise as the wealthiest man on the planet. On the cold and windy day, our guy was walking through the snow, cursing how it's snowing so heavily everywhere today, and how it feels much colder than the other usual days. Even wrapped in layers of clothing, he couldn't escape the bone-chilling freeze. The temperature was nearly minus 20 degrees Celsius, yet what he saw ahead shocked him even more. A cat stood in the distance, sorrow in her eyes, sprinting straight toward him. When she reached him, she rose onto her hind legs, scratching at his pants with her paws as if pleading, "Help me!" She meowed desperately, her cries echoing like a plea for salvation. He stared in bewilderment. The chorus of meows only deepened his confusion and heightened the strangeness of the moment. The cat then turned, signaling for him to follow. She walked ahead, glancing back as if urging him not to fall behind. He asked himself, could it really be that this cat wanted him to follow? Unable to ignore her in the freezing storm, he began to follow. The cat slipped into a dark alley. Unable to see through the shadows, he pulled out his phone and swished on the torch. What he saw next left him stunned. 3 kittens lay freezing in the snow, crouched near a pile of rusted metal beneath a staircase, their frail bodies trembling in the cold. 2 of them were already covered in snow, as if the storm itself was trying to bury them alive. He rushed home, breathing heavily, and flung open the door. Startled by the noise, his mother approached. He told her he'd explain later and hurriedly asked where the heating pad was. Reaching into his leather jacket, he gently pulled out the tiny kittens one by one. Inside, he carefully placed the shivering kittens on a soft blanket. His mother watched silently, concern mirrored in her eyes. But one kitten lay still, silent and unmoving. Unlike the others, its tiny body showed no signs of life. The protagonist's mother, watching from behind, murmured softly, "It already looks dead." He gently nudged the tiny body, desperately trying to make it move, but there was no response, not even the faintest sign of life. He tried warming its frozen body with hot water, but the little one did not stir. Again he tried, using a dryer, hoping the warm air might revive it, but it was too late. A bitter thought gnawed at him. If only he had found them sooner, could he have saved it? In desperation, he pressed gently on the kitten's tiny chest, and then miraculously the kitten stirred, clawing its way back from the mouth of death. Days later, the kittens had grown healthier. They scampered around playfully, even ruining the carpet with their mischief. They wouldn't let the protagonist cook in peace, waking him from sleep or sometimes climbing onto his face just for fun. They even shredded his sofa. The kittens had become far too mischievous. 8 years later, one of them suffered a fractured leg. The protagonist had named her Peachy. He fed Peachy and said, "Peachy, I have to go now. There's important work I must finish." He apologized. "I haven't spent enough time with you, but today is truly my last day of work. After this, I'll make time for you." He picked up his gaming VR helmet and said, "I'll finish quickly and come back to play with you." Before leaving, he warned, "You mustn't run or jump until your leg heals. Take care of yourself." He put on his VR helmet and a notification chimed, "Biometric authentication complete." His vision blurred as another notification appeared, "You are now logging into the world of Metaria." The scene shifted. Our protagonist appeared inside the game world. A system message rang out, "Butler Kim is logged in." Elsewhere, a group of people prayed aloud, "I pray to the divine, grant us the power to punish injustice." In answer, a massive hammer appeared named the Mass Holy Weapons. The prayers continued, "Bolster the spirits of warriors who stand against evil, and drive out the wicked energy." At once, the hammer transformed, radiating power, reshaping into a shield and formation. Butler Kim and his party charged the monster ahead, protected by the holy formation and shield. The monster countered, swinging its sword and blasting them into the air, its power overwhelming. Yet the party regrouped and unleashed a barrage of magic spells. The monster roared, drawing its blade with terrifying force. As the fierce battle raged on, Butler Kim declared, "After countless wars, today this fight will end." He announced to the raid party, "We will be the first to defeat the giant god." Raising his massive lion-emblazoned shield, Butler Kim braced for the final phase. The monster conjured several magical circles, firing purple beams from the sky like deadly lasers. Butler Kim shielded his allies, the beams scattering harmlessly around them. He commanded, "First row, hold the line. Third row, retreat. Immediately another attack is coming in 5 seconds." Despite the monster's relentless assault, the party charged forward, dodging death at every step. Kim shouted, "Second row, form up behind Methaboss is entering its final phase." The party answered in unison, "Yes." Gathering together, they braced as Butler Kim activated his ultimate shield. As predicted, the monster unleashed another devastating wave of purple beams. Kim cried, "This is its last desperate struggle. First and third rows dodge, second row prepare your ultimate strike." Blocking with his shield, he prayed aloud, "God of light, protect me." His sacred shield buff activated, boosting block rate by 70%, reflecting 40% of damage. Sanctuary spread across the battlefield, reducing incoming damage by 15%. A third buff, God's blessing, ignited, healing the wounded allies around him. Now glowing with divine power, Butler Kim's presence grew so overwhelming that even his companions trembled. "This is where every raid has failed," he shouted. "If we hesitate, we're finished. Follow the strategy exactly." One companion exclaimed, "We've reached a stage no other party has. If only our leader's defense can withstand the giant god's ultimate attack." With its last strength, the boss gathered all its mana into its mouth, forming a terrifying blast. The party steeled themselves, shouting joyfully, "Once this pattern ends, we'll finish it with an all-out strike." Butler Kim, with the last of his strength, deployed his shield. "We'll be the first in the game to clear this boss." But as the boss unleashed its attack, Kim vanished, fading like mist into the air. A system message appeared, "Butler Kim has logged out." His teammates froze in shock, still in attack formation, unable to comprehend what had just happened. In the next instant, the monster's ultimate attack was released, obliterating everything in its path. Terrified, the players cried out, "Where did our leader go?" The attack struck mercilessly, wiping out the entire raid. Nothing remained. A system notification appeared before Kim, informing him that an abnormality had been detected in his body, leading to a forced termination of his connection. The system then presented him with an urgent choice, whether to request immediate rescue. Kim found himself in a desperate struggle, seemingly constricted by a furry creature as he tried to free himself. Abruptly, Kim began flailing wildly in his bed, waking from his in-game struggle with a muffled cry. Startled, Kim suddenly sat up, still wearing his VR helmet, finding Peachy held securely in his grasp. The cat, with its blue cast, looked up at him. Kim, still donning his VR helmet, expressed his frustration towards Peachy, questioning why the cat had interrupted him at such a critical juncture. A pained cry escaped Kim, the sound echoing his deep frustration as the realization of his situation set in. His sudden logout had caused the boss raid to fail, and a rival guild had seized the opportunity to claim the coveted first clear. This devastating news elicited another cry of despair from Kim. Because of the raid's failure, Kim's team did not secure any ranking points, causing them to fall further from the top. 5 months of meticulous preparation for the raid had been entirely wasted, and the forcing disaster had finally arrived. This all occurred within Nexus Materia, a groundbreaking game known as a true metaverse that had profoundly changed humanity's way of life. After the game Materia was released, a profound shift occurred, causing many to find a deeper preference for life within the game's virtual world. The boundary between the virtual and real blurred, and soon commuting into Materia and clocking out to reality became an integral part of daily existence for everyone. It was a world transformed, where the once fanciful notion of introducing one's job as an archer or any other game profession was no longer met with amusement but with genuine acknowledgement. People now openly discussed their in-game roles with seriousness in everyday conversations. This revolutionary societal change elevated the top rankers of Materia to a status of immense prestige, signifying their newfound influence and power. These top rankers, hailed as national heroes, were able to accumulate immense wealth. Valuables like glittering gems, currency, and powerful artifacts floated, converging toward an overflowing treasure chest, symbolizing the vast material gains from their in-game achievements. As the number of individuals living as professional gamers increased dramatically, the need for formal structure arose. Corresponding laws were swiftly established to regulate this burgeoning industry. Among these new regulations was the Act on Promotion of Game Industry, Article 783, Paragraph 2, Special Act for Boss Raid Parties. A serious woman in a business suit held a tablet explaining the intricacies of these laws against a backdrop of vast, accumulated treasure. This specific law outlined that compensation could be legally demanded from any person identified as the primary cause of failure during a critical boss monster raid. Kim, in a suit, carefully reviewed a document underscoring the gravity of this new accountability. For high-stakes content like dungeon raids, which required the cooperation of many individuals and promised enormous rewards, the implications of these laws were particularly severe. Consequently, it had become a common and necessary practice to draw up formal contracts in the real world before engaging in any major in-game activity. Another group of individuals sat at a table, staring at Kim, signifying the routine nature of these real-world agreements governing virtual pursuits. The legal document outlined a massive claim against Kim, citing how 15 professional gamers were demanding over $1 billion due to the failed giant godlock raid, which they attributed to his sudden logout and the subsequent loss of their achievements and sponsorship. The weight of the accusation settled heavily on Kim as he realized the staggering sum demanded, a full billion, from him as the raid leader held responsible for the entire failure. In the formal meeting room, the final demand was stated, over $1 billion from Butler Kim. Reflecting on the complex nature of the giant God-Lock raid party, made of both regular members and mercenaries, Kim knew the meeting had been contentious. Yet, it concluded with his commitment to full compensation, and he found some solace in the 9 guild members who had supported him and requested understanding. Leaving the law firm, Kim walked with his head bowed, the burden of the agreed compensation weighing heavily on him. As Kim continued his somber walk, a man quickly approached him, waving his arm, causing Kim to turn with a surprised expression. The man asked Kim if it was true that he had already sold his gear. Kim confirmed his gear was sold, explaining that it had been the only way to compensate the mercenaries. He admitted that selling it had caused him great sadness. These were the items he had parted with, each piece of his valuable gear representing hundreds of millions of won. A man questioned Kim's decision to play solo, wondering why he wouldn't seek more assistance, especially without proper gear. Kim admitted his guilt, explaining that his role as raid leader had kept him from spending time with his cat, a fact he'd felt bad about for a while. The other man acknowledged this as typical of Kim, wondering if it was a compliment. Kim, who had been calm and composed until now, recoiled in shock and dismay when the man announced his intention to quit as well. Kim bowed deeply, expressing regret and taking responsibility, but the man quickly reassured him, stating he understood Kim's circumstances. The man then extended a box labeled Metagear, explaining it was a farewell gift for Kim's dedicated efforts and urging him to accept it. Kim recoiled, visibly distressed, questioning how he could possibly accept such a gift after recent events, then mused if the gear was something the man no longer needed. The man firmly insisted that Kim simply take the gift without feeling any burden. As Kim departed with the box, the man bid him farewell, acknowledging his hard work, to which Kim offered a quiet thank you. Arriving home, Kim announced his presence, entering a quiet, neat bedroom. Kim finally sat exhausted by his door, letting out a long sigh as his cat, Peachy, approached him with a meow. Kim found himself in a desperate state, his wide blue eyes conveying his utter distress as his carefully laid post-retirement plans crumbled without his essential gear. He wondered what he could possibly do now that everything had fallen apart. His thoughts were interrupted by Peachy, who confidently carried a toy mouse in its mouth despite the blue cast on its left front leg. Kim gently reminded the cat that it should not be playing with its leg until it was fully healed. Kim observed Peachy's persistent strength, a small smile appearing as he acknowledged the cat's determination to play. He conceded, allowing just 5 minutes of playtime, knowing how much Peachy wanted to be active. The small toy mouse, attached to a string, swung through the air with a soft rustling sound, enticing Peachy. Dressed in more comfortable clothes at home, Kim announced the start of their warm-up exercise, preparing both himself and Peachy for their play session. He signaled for Peachy to begin. Peachy, despite its cast, enthusiastically jumped, its movements a testament to its eagerness, its tiny paws reaching upwards. A gentle, understanding smile formed on Kim's face as he watched Peachy. Kim felt a surge of empathy, reflecting on how challenging it must have been for such an active cat like Peachy to be confined with an injured leg, observing its quick movements. With warm-ups complete, Kim declared the start of the hunt, his stance showing playful determination as he looked towards Peachy and the stacked cardboard boxes. Peachy crouched low, its focus entirely on the cardboard boxes, ready to leap into the game despite its cast. Kim held up the small mouse toy on a string, his eyes narrowed with intense focus. He declared he had become a mouse and would demonstrate its perfect movements. The white mouse toy, with its small red eyes and feathery tail, darted across the light wooden floor, leaving a swift blur behind it. Kim crouched low, guiding the toy with a stick as he made soft squeaking sounds, fully immersed in his role. From inside its cardboard box, Peachy observed the mouse, its attention completely captivated by the moving object. Kim continued to move the toy, creating a soft squeaking sound near Peachy's cardboard hideout, enticing the cat to emerge. Peachy swiftly extended its front paw to swat at the mouse toy just beyond its reach. The cat was fully engaged, its body twisting within the box as it lunged, reaching out with both paws to try and capture the elusive toy. Peachy continued its agile pursuit from inside the box, its movements fluid as Kim skillfully kept the toy just out of reach. With a soft smile, Kim encouraged Peachy to continue playing, acknowledging the cat's effort and musing that it was time for the butler to be rewarded for his efforts. Peachy wriggled back into the cardboard box, its tail disappearing last as it settled inside. Kim found Peachy's butt endearing whenever the cat entered a box, a sight he enjoyed every time. The scene shifts, focusing on Kim carefully transferring shredded meat from a pan into a bowl. Kim sat on the floor, instructing the cat named Lulu to thank Peachy for the meat, implying Peachy had hunted it. Kim, while washing dishes, reflected that he had played with Peachy for 10 minutes and felt he shouldn't have been so vigorous, concerned about the cat's exertion. A doctor, in a white coat, advised that playing with the cat should be avoided for a while to allow it to recover. Kim expressed his deep concern to the doctor, explaining that Peachy was highly energetic and would become severely stressed if playtime was withheld. Kim pondered if there was any way for Peachy to expend its energy without physical movement, when suddenly, a notification sound from a device on the counter interrupted his thoughts. Kim was startled by a message notification detailing a scheduled withdrawal of over $1,000,000. He had completely forgotten about the hospital bay installments, a realization that quickly deepened his distress. With a hand gripping his hair, Kim's panic intensified as he pondered his next move, realizing he had absolutely no money left for even basic living expenses. Kim's bare foot nudged a large metagear box across the floor, the cardboard scraping lightly as it moved. Sitting on the floor, Kim carefully began to open the metagear box, his gaze fixed on its contents. Peachy curiously sniffed the new piece of gaming gear on the couch. Kim thought about how he received the equipment from a former raid member who had decided to quit Materia. Peachy rubbed against the gaming gear and Kim playfully chided his cat, reminding Peachy that he had significant role in the incident that occurred and should apologize if they ever met the former owner. Kim placed the metagear box over his head like a helmet, testing the fit. Kim carefully placed the metagear box over his head, letting out a breath of relief. He could breathe well inside, ensuring the previous uncomfortable incident would not happen again. The sound of a beeping timer drew Kim's attention. He reached for it, surprised to see it was already so late. As Kim prepared to leave, holding the metagear box, he called out to Peachy and Lulu, promising to return. He knew that because of the recent incident, his hopes of becoming a top-ranked player were now significantly diminished. Kim lay on his bed, a simple VR headset covering his face, seemingly lost in the virtual world. Despite the desire for rest, a part of him knew that life demanded effort, and he had to move forward to make a living. A system window instantly appeared, notifying him that Butler Kim had logged in. He understood that this was part of his duties, and he needed to fulfill his responsibilities. He found himself in a desolate, dangerous landscape dominated by vast rivers of molten lava flowing between jagged, dark rock formations. His fishing line extended into the glowing lava, a specialized lure at its end. He knew this venture was a high-risk gamble, but it promised high returns if successful. Kim sat precariously on a rocky outcrop, casting his line into the bubbling lava. He acknowledged the extreme danger of being in such a perilous zone without any proper gear. His gaze was intense as he held his fishing rod. A nagging worry persisted in his mind, recognizing that his entire strategy was based on memories from 6 years ago, from a time when fishing here proved lucrative. A wave of uncertainty washed over him. He had no way of knowing how much the game Materia had changed after several major updates, making his past knowledge potentially unreliable. Suddenly, a massive scaly fish with glowing eyes erupted from the lava, hooked on his line. A rush of triumph filled him as he realized he had succeeded. A genuine smile spread across his face as he hoisted his catch. His old golden fishing spot was still there, just as he remembered, providing a much-needed sense of relief. The system identified his catch as a lava mullet, a crucial ingredient for high-grade fire-type buff items. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the spot's enduring value, knowing that catching just 50 of these fish would be enough to cover his installment payment. Kim sat quietly, his fishing line cast into the vivid. A sense of quiet contemplation settled over Kim as he realized how long it had been since he could simply spend time by himself like this. For 5 years, his entire focus had been on group raids and climbing the ranks, a stark contrast to this solitary moment. Even though he had lost everything he built in Materia in an instant, a surprising sense of peace enveloped him. A tear slipped down his face. Kim felt his eyes grow misty, wondering if something had simply gotten into them. Suddenly, everything started to shake like crazy. His calm expression shattered as he looked on, questioning what he was seeing and why it was appearing so much sooner than expected. Kim rose quickly, his thoughts racing as he realized the phoenix might already be respawning. Above the desolate landscape, a massive dark vortex churned in the sky, from which a brilliant blue light shot downwards to a single point on the ground. Kim, in his hooded cloak, stood firm as a powerful, luminous blue energy descended from the sky before him, shimmering with ethereal particles. From the intense light, a majestic quadrupedal creature fully materialized. Its fur appeared dark gray, yet its mane, tail, and paws glowed with an eerie light blue flame, standing upon a mystical summoning circle on the desolate ground. A closer look at the creature revealed its imposing dark gray head, dominated by piercing light blue eyes and a distinctive, glowing, X-shaped mark on its forehead. Kim pondered if this was a new mythical beast, distinct from a phoenix. Kim's wide, panicked blue eye reflected his growing dread. He internally questioned if this was an entirely new monster, concluding from its impressive entrance that it could easily be a boss monster requiring a 5-person party to defeat. The creature's large, glowing paws stepped closer, each movement echoing with a heavy sound. Kim knew escape was impossible from this distance, yet fighting it with his current abilities seemed equally futile. Standing amidst the desolate landscape under an orange sky, Kim, still holding his fishing rod, expressed his disbelief. He had only managed to catch one fish so far, lamenting his terrible luck as a new boss monster appeared in his fishing spot. Kim, looking towards the towering creature, desperately hoped it wouldn't stay in his only fishing spot. He relied on this place for his living expenses, making its presence a threat to his livelihood. Terror washed over Kim as the creature's immense, toothy maw enveloped him. His eyes wide with fear, he was gripped by the horrifying realization of his immediate danger and uncertainty of what to do. But monster with its long, thick tongue licked across Kim's cheek, leaving a trail of saliva. His expression shifted from terror to surprised discomfort. The colossal creature affectionately licked Kim's forehead, its glowing eyes fixated on him. Kim, still holding his fishing rod, could do nothing but stand there. Kim found himself overwhelmed, liquid dripping down his face, the sensation unsettling. He closed his eyes, silently questioning what was happening in this bizarre encounter. Looking up, he internally demanded to know what on earth the creature was doing, his mind racing with confusion. The colossal feline creature continued to lick at him, its tongue extending. Kim wondered if it was trying to lick him to death, its actions baffling him. Disgusted by the constant licking, Kim cried out, demanding to be killed cleanly if that was its intent. He begged for a swift end rather than this protracted and unpleasant ordeal. Facing the enormous creature, Kim acknowledged its program setting, yet firmly stated he was not in the mood for its antics today. He reiterated his plea for a quick and decisive death, raising a hand in a gesture of resignation. Despite his current weakness, Kim pointed a determined finger at the creature, declaring he was only allowing himself to be killed now due to his powerlessness. He vowed that one day, he would be the one to defeat it. The colossal creature, identifiable by its X scar, looked down at Kim, seemingly tilting its head in a gesture of puzzlement at his bold declaration. As Kim looked up at the creature, still firm in his stance, the massive beast let out a small meow, an unexpected sound that left him utterly stunned. Kim's wide eyes and dripping sweat reflected his profound bewilderment, the creature's sudden meow completely overturning his expectations and leaving him with more questions than answers. Kim was left questioning if he had truly heard what he thought he did. He couldn't shake the distinct impression that the deep, gruff sound had been nothing less than a meow. He finally grasped that the monster before him was based on a cat. It was an original and majestic sight, unlike any he had ever witnessed. A sudden realization sparked in Kim's mind, catching him off guard. Kim now clutched a fishing rod. The beast's attention was caught, seemingly recognizing a cat's nature in the object. As the beast's claws extended, Kim's mind raced, wondering if throwing the bait might buy him enough time to escape. Kim lunged forward, offering a treat to the beast. He acknowledged that a monster likely wouldn't understand the concept, but considering it was a cat, it was worth a try. With a resolute cry, Kim cast the fishing rod, believing it was a gamble worth taking. As Kim sharply reeled back, the beast lunged forward with open jaws. Kim ran frantically as the fishing line zipped away, the small lure soaring through the air before hitting its mark with a sharp crack. Kim gripped his staff tightly, a surge of doubt filling his mind as he wondered if his efforts would truly succeed. The massive beast lunged forward with powerful force, its claws reaching out towards the crimson fish. Kim declared his resolve, refusing to easily surrender what he held as he braced himself with his staff. The beast's powerful claws descended, striking at the elusive fish. The beast coiled its massive form, one paw extended as it pressed forward with immense power. A scream of terror escaped Kim as he fled in panic, his staff flying from his grasp, while the small beast also scurried away from the chaos. The massive beast held the crimson fish firmly in its maw, its glowing eyes fixed on the meal it was about to consume. The beast, now in its compact form, sat contentedly, savoring the crimson fish it held in its paws. Beast, having finished its meal, looked up, seemingly content. Suddenly, the massive beast's glowing eyes blazed, its maw open in an intense roar, signaling a powerful reaction. Kim desperately ran through the fiery, rocky cavern while backside of him, the beast watched from the ledge. As Kim fled, a powerful ethereal energy, taking a distinct form, descended rapidly towards him. Kim's wide, panicked eyes reflected the terrifying reality of his situation. The beast struck the ground with immense force, causing a powerful impact and sending debris flying. Rocks and dust erupted into the air from the powerful impact. The beast stood tall and imposing, emanating ethereal energy as Kim lay defeated on the ground. The beast stood over the crater it had created, contemplating what kind of being Kim was and where he had appeared from. A system window popped up, notifying Kim that he had died and would become a ghost, automatically moving to the graveyard in 5 minutes, with an option to move immediately. The beast gazed forward, its glowing eyes and X-shaped scar, a stark presence in the aftermath. Kim lay on the red ground, the massive beast's paw hovering menacingly close to his head. A desperate thought echoed in his mind, urging the creature to simply lose interest and leave him alone. As Kim tried to push himself up, the beast leaned in close to him, its head near his back, leaving Kim bewildered and wondering about its next move. Kim suddenly recoiled, flailing his arms in confusion and alarm as the beast made a swift, unexpected movement. The beast's massive paw pressed against Kim's chest, and Kim could only look up, bewildered, as a strange thought crossed his mind. Was this truly meeting? The beast's glowing eyes stared down at Kim, its form radiating an intense, unsettling presence. For Kim, this strange encounter was nothing short of terrifying. As a bright move now prompt appeared before him, Kim's entire being focused on one desperate. A system window materialized before Kim, offering him a chance to resurrect at the graveyard, albeit with a 5% experience penalty, giving him the choice to accept or decline. With a sigh, Kim found himself in the graveyard, his form ethereal as he revived. His immediate thought was to reclaim his fishing spot, driven by a quiet resolve. Contemplating how to resolve his current predicament, Kim decided the most logical first step was to open his map window. Kim's map revealed important details. The lava zone was the Phoenix's territory, and a new boss had likely appeared there for a limited time, offering him a clearer understanding of his surroundings. Kim desperately ran through the desolate landscape, the sound of his hurried footsteps echoing as he hoped the monstrous cat had gone far away. He pleaded for its absence, wishing to escape the terrifying encounter. Kim found his body lying on the ground, splattered with dirt. His gaze settled on the large beast, the very creature he had hoped to escape. It stood powerfully, guarding his prone body, a perplexing and unwelcome sight for Kim, who now existed as a watchful spirit. Frustration welled within Kim as he clenched his ethereal fists, unable to comprehend why the beast chose to guard his body instead of simply leaving him. The beast lumbered closer, its imposing presence unsettling Kim further. He internally questioned if it was patiently waiting to strike again the moment he revived, silently cursing the persistent creature. As Kim contemplated his grim situation, a single solution formed in his mind: he would have to re-enter his body and resurrect the instant the beast turned its back. His strategy involved more than just resurrection. He planned to run as far as possible in the direction opposite to the beast's gaze, putting as much distance as he could between himself and the monster. The beast settled, lying down next to Kim's still form, casting a large shadow over him. Its proximity was a constant, dark reminder of the danger. Kim watched with wide, apprehensive eyes as the beast blinked slowly, its large paw resting near his body, making every moment of waiting and exercise in tense anticipation. A subtle rustling sound accompanied a slight shift from the beast, its massive form remaining still yet ever present, a relentless guardian of Kim's lifeless body. Kim's eyes widened in sudden realization, a faint halo shimmering around his head as the thought echoed in his mind that this was his one crucial chance. A stark system window materialized before Kim, offering a single profound choice, a prompt asking if he wished to be resurrected, with a clear option to accept. Enveloped in a glowing aura, Kim stood upright on the reddish ground, a system notification confirming his resurrection, with the large beast lying dormant behind him. A single tear escaped Kim's eye as he swallowed hard, the weight of the moment settling in after his unexpected return. Kim took a tentative step, his boot subtly moving over the reddish earth, leaving the massive, dormant beast behind him. His foot hovered above the ground, Kim continuing his slow, deliberate movement away from the silent, resting beast. With another careful step, Kim moved further, the large form of the beast still lying motionless in the background. As Kim's boot landed with a soft thump, the beast's glowing white eyes abruptly opened, focusing intently on his foot. Kim stood stunned as the beast suddenly erupted into a towering, menacing form behind him, its glowing eyes fixed and its presence overwhelming the reddish landscape. A deep growl emanated from the beast, causing the ground to rumble as Kim's face contorted in shock, a terrifying question screaming in his mind. Was this all a trap? Kim recoiled in sheer terror as a large paw clamped down near him, a sound of heavy impact echoing. Kim let out a desperate cry as he scrambled away, the massive beast looming close behind him, its powerful form giving chase. The beast lunged forward with incredible force, its powerful paw striking the ground as it closed the distance. Kim was flung through the air, landing hard on the cracked earth, caught in the beast's powerful attack. As Kim lay on the fractured ground, a system window appeared, declaring his death and stating he would become a ghost, moving to the graveyard in 5 minutes with an option to move immediately. The beast stared with wide, glowing eyes, a visible confusion clouding its expression. As the world shifted to a muted tone, a system prompt asked Kim if he wished to be resurrected, and he realized he had just conceived a clever way to escape the beast. With a click, Kim acknowledged his disbelief that the moment had arrived for him to employ the tactical maneuvers he had diligently trained for during his time in the army. A system notification confirmed Kim's resurrection as light emanated around him, and he felt a growing certainty that his plan would succeed. With a swift motion, Kim immediately began rolling away, creating distance from his previous position. He stirred slightly, a faint movement, perhaps an attempt to peek at his surroundings. A choked sound escaped Kim as he remained sprawled on the ground, his struggle evident even in stillness. Silence hung heavy as Kim lay unmoving, his state unclear beneath the looming presence of the beast. A flicker of thought passing through his mind as he began to move again. With a smooth, deliberate effort, Kim pushed himself up, his eyes now wide and alert as he surveyed his immediate surroundings. A deep growl erupted from the beast behind him, startling Kim, who turned with wide, panicked eyes to see the creature snarling, its fangs bared. Kim's thoughts raced, stunned by the beast's reaction to such a faint sound, its glowing eye fixing him in place. Pinned beneath the beast, while a system window indicated his remaining HP and MP, the beast continued its disturbing licking motion. Crushed beneath the beast, Kim felt a terrible realization dawn on him. He had indeed crossed paths with the wrong kind of monster. A system notification abruptly appeared, starkly informing Kim that he had died and would automatically transition to the graveyard in 5 minutes, with an option to move immediately. From within the house, a frustrated shout echoed, signaling Kim's intense feelings. Kim thrashed on his bed, striking a pillow with his fists and feet, his mind reeling from the unsettling situation. Exhaustion weighed on Kim's face as he considered going to bed, fearing the stress would cause him physical harm. He wondered if the persistent individual causing him turmoil would truly remain until morning. Kim stood in his room, his thoughts consumed by the bizarre and frustrating memory of the beast that had taken hold. Kim's expression shifted to one of slight bewilderment, his gaze fixed on something unseen. Peachy rested on the floor, its head completely hidden inside a large, gray VR helmet. Kim looked down, a soft smile bracing his lips as he realized Peachy had fallen asleep in its unusual hiding place. Addressing Peachy with affectionate exasperation, Kim playfully called the cat a rascal, noting how it preferred its current hiding spot over the house he had specifically bought for it. A strange feeling began to creep over Kim as he touched his chin and thought, a sense of unease settling in. A sudden thought struck Kim, his eyes widening in surprise. Kim's thoughts lingered on the prominent X-shaped scar on the beast's forehead, realizing it was in the exact same spot as the one on Peachy. Kim paused, contemplating the strange similarity. He quickly dismissed the notion, convincing himself it was impossible. Kim walked away, reasoning that a cat couldn't possibly log into a game and that such marks were merely a coincidence. The next day, Kim found himself resurrected in the game, a system notification confirming his return. His immediate thought was hoping that beast had vanished from the fishing spot. Kim anxiously searched the area hoping the beast was truly gone, letting out a nervous laugh of relief. He stood in the desolate landscape, looking towards a distant, obscured form, his footsteps echoing softly. A look of dread settled on Kim's face, his jaw clenching tightly. Then, the beast suddenly lunged through the air, its powerful form hurtling towards him. Kim stood in a desolate, rocky landscape, confronting the colossal beast. The dark-furred creature, marked by an X-shaped scar on its forehead, loomed over him, its heavy steps thudding against the ground. Kim found himself face to face with the immense beast, its glowing white eyes fixed upon him. The creature, marked by an X-shaped scar, let out a surprisingly small sound, a simple meow. A look of profound exasperation spread across Kim's face as he thought about the trouble involved in his current task. He mentally cursed the situation, declaring his frustration with the entire world he found himself in. The beast shifted its massive gray body, its powerful limbs stepping down with a heavy, deliberate sound, preparing for its next action. Kim squeezed his eyes shut for a moment, waiting for beast to finish him off. As Kim watched, the enormous beast, still bearing its X-shaped scar, stretched its feline-like body, a long, drawn-out sound accompanying its movement. Kim looked on, a question forming in his mind as he noticed a peculiar detail about the beast's rear end, pondering what he was seeing. Kim's eyes widened in bewilderment as a strange realization dawned on him regarding the beast's anatomy. Utterly confused, he wondered why such a detail was even relevant. Suddenly, a system window appeared before Kim, displaying a message that he had been chosen and that his class was Butler, a special hidden class. A system window unexpectedly appeared before Kim, announcing that he had been chosen for a hidden class, Butler. Kim found himself bewildered, questioning what the sudden message meant. Kim's eye widened in disbelief as his thoughts raced, trying to comprehend the words Butler and chosen. Another system notification popped up, informing Kim that the power of Kalina's now resided within him, specifically as the entity Butler Kim. Kim, still in his hooded cloak, reacted with alarm as blue ethereal energy surrounded him. He exclaimed his refusal, bewildered by the system's declaration of a Butler class, a role he had never even heard of. As dark, swirling energy enveloped him, Kim's distress grew. He wondered if he was being forcibly subjected to a class change, his expression reflecting his anxiety. His eyes wide with panic, Kim cried out in confusion as the transformation intensified, unable to understand what was happening to him. A massive black vortex formed, spiraling downwards, as the system announced that dark energy was being applied to Butler Kim. The dark energy continued to swirl around Kim, his powerful currents hinting at the profound changes unfolding within him. The transformation manifested as Kim's attire visibly shifted, his casual footwear replaced by formal shoes as the dark energy swirled around his feet. The transformation completed, leaving Kim in a formal ruffled shirt and blazer. A final system message appeared simply stating, "Application complete." Kim, now dressed in a butler suit, was surrounded by dark, wispy energy as a system notification confirmed his new role as a butler. Kim stared at Beast, bewildered, realizing his character had truly transformed. He panicked, wondering what had happened to his previous Holy Knight identity. Kim's eyes widened in shock as a voice echoed in his mind, calling him Butler and asking if he could hear it. Kim questioned if the voice belonged to the colossal beast before him, realizing it was speaking directly into his mind. He wondered who was communicating with him. The powerful beast, Kalinas, introduced himself as the conqueror who once stained the land with darkness, the incarnation of shadow. He declared himself the guardian of 3 kingdoms and the first emperor of Noxterra. Kim, looking exasperated, questioned Kalinas about its current posture, finding it awkward to be lectured while facing its backside. Kalinas explained that a problem occurred during its summoning, preventing its body from moving as it wished. Kim asked if Kalinas's body was out of control, to which Kalinas confirmed, stating that was why Kim was chosen as its butler. Kim wondered if this situation was a sudden event quest, then asked what he was expected to do. Kalinas explained that for unknown reasons he had entered the body of a strange beast. He instructed Kim to become his hands and feet, fix the problem, and help him reclaim his original body. A system message appeared, notifying Kim that he was now taking his first step as Lord Kalinas's butler and instructed him to familiarize himself with the basic duties and try using his class skills. A system window appeared before Kim, outlining the first stage of a rank tutorial chain. It listed incomplete missions to familiarize with duties, use skills, and check his master's status, promising 20 RPP and a tutorial as a reward. Kim stared at the system window, his thoughts filled with confusion, wondering about the RP listed as a reward and what it even meant. Kalinas, the large beast, lay on the ground, letting out soft meow sounds, an unexpected noise from such a powerful creature. Kim looked towards Kalinas, a puzzled expression on his face, wondering about the unusual sounds coming from a large beast. Kim extended his hand and lightly spanked the large beast, the action creating a small impact sound. Kim continued to spank Kalinas's rear with both hands, explaining that he was giving it a butt pat while the beast reacted with a surprise outcry about what Kim was doing. Kim threw his hands up in exasperation, demanding to know what kind of absurd situation this was, with someone suddenly appearing, changing his class without permission, and then expecting him to serve as their hands and feet. Kalinas responded, offering to return Kim to his previous state if he did not wish to proceed, asking if he would prefer that. Considering Kalinas's offer, Kim decided to first examine the details of his new class before negotiating any rewards, and instructed the system to open the class information window. The class information window appeared, detailing the butler class as one that serves by the master's side and rewards role-playing points, which convert the master's power into points, allowing the butler to use the master's abilities. A system window appeared before Kim, outlining his new duties, checking the master's physical condition, providing a comfortable home, and offering delicious treats. Pondering the directives, Kim realized these duties resembled caring for a cat more than managing a household. He mused that RP must be the master's power, something he would learn to use eventually. A system notification then confirmed that he had familiarized himself with the duties. As Kim considered opening the butler's class skill window, another prompt appeared, revealing 2 new class skills: catch a monster to offer to the master and snack making, make snacks to offer to the master. He realized his new role was more like a tamer serving the master, recalling past struggles even with small creatures. A thought crossed his mind about the initial conversation, where he was told he could always quit if the situation proved unsatisfactory. Considering his financial condition, Kim decided to wait. His eyes widened as a new possibility dawned on him, if he could negotiate the rewards and working hours to his liking. Standing before the immense beast Kalinas, who calmly licked its paw, Kim considered that his new circumstances might not be entirely unfavorable. Kim looked at Kalinas, stating that Kalinas must be flustered by his body's unresponsiveness. With a confident smile, Kim formally introduced himself as Butler Kim, adding that the beast had come to the right person. Kim declared that Kalinas was currently exhibiting characteristics akin to a cat, emphasizing his long-standing expertise in studying such animals. Kalinas challenged Kim, asking if he could truly manage him well. Kim confidently affirmed he could, asserting his intention to demonstrate his capabilities through action. Kim internally reflected that Kalinas didn't seem wary despite its earlier unusual display. He saw his current actions as a deliberate move to gain an advantage in their negotiations. Kim gently patted Kalinas' snout, understanding that cats, when first meeting strangers, require a cautious approach as they typically do not allow close contact. Kim looked on with surprise as Kalinas leaned into his touch, appearing calm and accepting. Kim realized Kalinas' previous behavior was a sign of its lack of shyness, As the beast let out a distinct meow, Kalina's conveyed that it was starting to trust Kim, acknowledging his actions. Kim, with a confident smile, remarked that finding a butler as exceptional as himself would be a rare feat. System notification appeared before him, indicating that he had successfully established a connection. The message then informed him that he could now access and review his master's current status. Upon checking the master's status, a new panel materialized, displaying a stress index. It revealed an anxious stress index of 119, falling into the bad range on the scale. Another chime resonated, signaling that the master's status check was complete. Kim observed the status display, pondering the potential reasons for Kalina's unexpectedly high anxiety. Kim stood beside Kalina's. Ahead of them, a small white lizard tried to scurry away, its camouflage flickering as Kalina's caught the faint sound of its movement. Kim looked down at Kalina's, who was now resting on the ground. Kalina's conveyed that it was time for the monsters in this area to respawn. Suddenly, a small, dark red lizard with fire attribute respawned, its body glowing with heat. Kim communicated to Kalina's that he had successfully communed with the beast's body, allowing him to check its condition. Kalina's shifted slightly as he asked about the current state of his own body. Kim informed Kalina's that his body was in a state of high anxiety. Kalina's immediately sought to understand the reason behind this. Anxiety stemmed from the unfamiliar environment, likening it to a cat's increased anxiety when placed in a new, unfamiliar location outside its usual territory. Kalina's sprinted towards Fire Lizard. Kalina's determination solidified. It considered anxiety in an unfamiliar place a weakness. Therefore, to overcome this, Kalina's resolved to make this entire world its own territory. The fiery red lizard, sensing the approaching beast, froze in alarm as the environment around it shifted suddenly. Kalina's, the powerful dart beast, moved with rapid speed across the ground, chasing after Fire Lizard, which scampered quickly to escape. Kalina's, the powerful beast, sped across the rugged terrain in hot pursuit of Fire Lizard, kicking up dust as he gained on his target. A system notification chimed, displaying a significantly high stress index, indicating a growing internal strain. Kalina's powerful attack created a burst of energy, impacting the ground where the lizard had been moments before. As Kalina's looked down, the lizard had vanished, leaving only its severed tail wriggling on the ground, a clear sign of its hasty escape. The system's chime signaled an even higher stress index, and Kalina's roared in frustration, demanding to know where the creature had disappeared to. The lizard continued its rapid flight, propelling itself forward with a trail of fire from its tail as it moved away. Kim, determined, ran full tilt across the desolate landscape, intent on catching the swiftly escaping lizard himself. The lizard quickly turned its head, emitting smoke and flames from its mouth as it became aware of Kim's approach. Kim activated his butler skill, Capture, hovering in the air with a silver cloche as multiple fiery lizards appeared below him. Following the system's tutorial, Kim aimed the cloche and opened its cover, creating a swirling blue portal that swiftly pulled the salamander into captivity, confirming a successful capture. Kim's foot, clad in a dark shoe and pants, steps onto a sturdy brown surface, leaving behind a shimmering light blue energy field. Kim, dressed in his formal butler attire, appeared with a slight smile, holding a silver cloche as Kalina's urgently asked what had occurred, and Kim calmly replied that it was as expected. Kim subtly lifted the cloche, revealing a swirling, dark energy orb with vibrant blue and purple hues. As he observed, Kalina's must have felt a significant sense of loss after nearly catching his prey. Kim released the fire lizard with his skill. The white fog dissipated, revealing Fire Lizard lying on the ground while Kalina's observed its appearance. Kalina's glowing white eyes fixed intensely on the creature, a low growl rumbling from within him. The reptilian creature trembled visibly, fear evident in its wide eyes as it sensed its impending fate. With a powerful surge, Kalina's brought a massive claw down upon the lizard, ending its struggle. Kim inquired about Kalina's satisfaction with the service. A system notification appeared, confirming Kalina's mood had improved, noting a change in his stress index. Kalina stated he felt much more at ease, settling comfortably on the cracked ground, and Kim expressed his pleasure that Kalina's appeared satisfied. Kalina's, the large beast, lowered his head close to the reptilian creature, ready to engage in a new phase of their unusual arrangement. He proposed they begin their negotiation. Kim, with a confident smile, addressed his terms. He explained there were certain things he needed understanding on regarding his work, highlighting his responsibility towards his family. He stressed the necessity of sufficient time off and adequate funds to support his livelihood. As Kalina's held the reptilian creature, he pondered Kim's request, questioning the idea of a butler requiring time off from his duties. Kim was enveloped in a sudden dark aura as Kalina's reacted with disbelief, demanding clarification if Kim truly lived in a house outside of this realm. Kim responded with a nervous, strained laugh, confirming that his home was indeed elsewhere. Kim stood in disbelief as Kalina's mused aloud, stating that he currently possessed none of the local currency needed to fulfill Kim's demands. Kim, undeterred, quickly offered an alternative, suggesting he could keep the items Kalina's obtained from hunting. Kalina's, finding Kim's mixed formal and informal speech amusing, advised him to pick one way of speaking. With ethereal energy emanating around him, Kalina's reflected on their unique bond. He acknowledged that Kim would be guiding his body regardless, and thus he would grant Kim the compensation he sought. Kalina sought confirmation on whether his offer was sufficient. Kim, a calm smile on his face, simply affirmed his acceptance. As the reptilian creature lay before them, Kim internally expressed his relief, realizing he would have been at a loss for how to make a living if he hadn't secured a way to catch the elusive lava trout. As the system notified him of the item acquisition, Kim knelt on the luminous, cracked earth. He received a lizard tail and some gold. Kim marveled at the unexpected profitability of monopolizing items meant for a whole party, finding it safer and more rewarding than his previous endeavors. A wave of realization washed over Kim as he snapped his gloved fingers, a wide grin spreading across his face. He felt there truly was a silver lining to every challenging situation. Kim watched as Kalina's, having lost interest once the creature's remains vanished, turned and walked away into the distance, disappearing from the scene. Kim pondered if Kalina's was simply a very large cat before shifting his focus to the final task he needed to complete. Kim activated his butler skill for snack making, and a system notification promptly informed him that salt grilled was the snack he could prepare at his current cooking level, as magical energy enveloped his hands. A pet bowl filled with cubed, salt-grilled salamander pieces in a sauce appeared, signaling that the snack had been successfully completed. A system window popped up, notifying Kim that a treat for the master, the salt-grilled salamander, was ready and asked if he wanted to inform his master. Kim wondered what would happen if he informed his master, then proceeded to press the yes button on the system prompt. Suddenly, Kalina's appeared next to the food bowl out of nowhere, startling Kim. Kalina's looked at him and questioned him about the smell. Kim watched as Kalina's devoured the snacks from the bowl, realizing that snack making was indeed a crucial skill to summon his unpredictable master. Kalina's eyes widened in utter surprise as it continued to munch, a clear sign of its amazement at the flavor. The beast pondered, finding it incredible that such a delightful flavor could possibly exist. Kim observed as Kalina's rapidly consumed the rest of the snacks. With the bowl completely empty, Kalina's looked up at Kim and urgently demanded more, expressing its intense desire for additional snacks. Kim, filled with renewed energy and enthusiasm, eagerly affirmed that he would immediately bring more snacks for the Kalina's. System notifications appeared, confirming that Kim's skill use was complete and the first stage of the tutorial had been accomplished, rewarding him with 20 ERP and creating a new chain quest for tutorial stage 2. Another system window presented itself, notifying Kim that Kalina's, his master, was thoroughly satisfied with his service and deducting a 5 ERP service fee, alongside offering an RP tutorial. Kim knelt over the defeated creature, watching as the system displayed the valuable loot, lizard tail meat, along with 14 gold and 35 silver. Kim focused on the task, a prompt appearing to collect all items, and moments later, the system confirmed he had acquired the lizard tail meat, 14 gold and 35 silver. With the items gathered, Kim rose to his feet, following the faint imprint left by Kalina's as she dashed after something ahead. Kim turned, a subtle smirk playing on his lips as he noted that a large number of monsters had begun to respawn in the fiery landscape. Kalina's, in its large, formidable form, loomed over a small fire lizard, its presence indicating another successful hunt. Watching the powerful beast defeat another monster, Kim reflected on the growing wealth he accumulated each time his master hunted. He stood idly, the thought crossing his mind that he wasn't even lifting a finger to earn such rewards. With a broad smile, Kim wondered aloud if this satisfying feeling was the true experience of auto-hunting, contemplating if it was time to collect the money. Kim, expressing gratitude as they collected loot from the defeated monsters, while Kalina's stood over another vanquished foe. Kalina's noted Kim's pleasure with the reward, to which Kim eagerly responded, promising to do his best to assist by Kalina's side. A system notification appeared for Kim, informing him that his snack-making skill was now ready for use. He realized the cooldown period for the ability had finally ended. Kim, dressed in his butler attire, enthusiastically announced his readiness to begin making snacks, his hands clasped together in anticipation. Kalina's, in its large, powerful form, rested on the rocky ground. Meanwhile, Kim, appearing as a small, glowing projection, called out to the beast, inviting his master to receive a treat. Kim then focused, directing the system to display his current quests. As a system window appeared, presenting the option to begin the second stage of the tutorial, Kim mentally confirmed his acceptance. A message from the system notified Kim that having completed his butler training, he was now expected to utilize his abilities to resolve the challenges his master faced. The system displayed the details for Tutorial, Stage 2, a chain mission to move to a nearby town, noting it was currently incomplete. The rewards for completing the quest included 50 RP and a tip covering the service fee and additional RP. Kim thoughtfully considered the mission to reach a nearby town, recognizing that while it would normally be an easy quest, the current situation made it complicated. His gaze settled on Kalina's, who was resting on the ground, and Kim pondered how he would manage to bring the large beast along with him. The system displayed Kalina's stress index at 131, confirming Kim's worry that the beast would become stressed if it were to leave its familiar territory. Kalina's intently watched the bubbling lava, the molten liquid moving with a soft, persistent sound. Kalina's, in his enormous form, subtly interacted with a large lava bubble as Kim approached from behind, his footsteps echoing softly in the volcanic zone. Kim, addressing Kalina's, announced that he had devised a plan, to which Kalina's simply instructed him to elaborate. Kim reasoned that Kalina's must have been summoned to the lava zone for a specific purpose, suggesting they move to a nearby town to gather information. Kalina's concurred with Kim's assessment, while Kim privately admitted a slight guilt, feeling like he was presenting a quest he merely received as his own idea. Kalina's then posed a critical question, wondering if his movements were restricted by the concept of a cat's territory, given his current form. Kim reminded Kalina's how his territory had always expanded slightly with each monster he defeated, to which Kalina's acknowledged the truth of it. Kim revealed their objective, to defeat the Phoenix, the master of the lava zone and its surrounding area, which would then allow them free movement to nearby towns. Kalina's understood the plan but immediately inquired about the nature and strength of this Phoenix. Kim confirmed that the Phoenix was indeed a strong, immortal bird that grew even more powerful each time it revived after death. Kalina's finding it interesting even as he confidently asserted that it would eventually yield to his superior power. Kim explained that the Phoenix was a bird enveloped in flames, adding that a normal cat would surely flee and hide if it encountered such a formidable creature. Kim then told Kalina's that to overcome the Phoenix, he must first conquer his fear of fire itself. But the moment a bubbling drop of lava brushed against Kalina's nail, in his enormous beast form, Kalina's leapt back to the ground, crying out in pain as the lava's burns seared his nail, while Kim watched helplessly from a distance. Kalina's, desperately struggling against both the searing pain and his fear of fire, stumbled backward again and again, leaping wildly to distance himself from the lava. As Kalina's now appeared distressed, he admitted to Kim that he could indeed feel fear, just as Kim had suggested. Kalina's, roaring with a pained yet determined expression, adamantly demanded that Kim find any means necessary for him to overcome his deep-seated fear of fire. And so, the true test began. Kalina's would now have to confront and overcome his deepest fear. Kalina's, gathering his resolve, now stood firmly and confronted while fishbait placed in front of him for his test. With a wide grin, Kim cheerfully declared that Kalina's fear would be conquered once he was submerged in lava, leaving Kalina's to question if Kim's plan truly involved such a drastic measure. Kim stood on a floating rock above the fiery landscape, holding his fishing rod. He sought confirmation from Kalina's. Kim affirmed that the current method was indeed correct. Kalina's cautiously tested the harsh ground with his paw, weighing the peril before him. He wondered if his smaller, feline-like form could possibly endure the blistering heat radiating from the lava. Kim explained that the body he currently inhabited was classified as a boss monster. He emphasized that boss monsters inherently possess a very high resistance to temperature, reassuring Kalina's about his durability in such extreme conditions. Kalina's asked what kind of boss monster Kim had been speaking of. Without a moment's hesitation, Kim tossed the captured fish high into the air above the lava. He aimed to use fish as bait, hoping to entice Kalina's to jump into the flowing lava as part of their acclimatization efforts. Kim sharply turned his head, but Kalina's remained seated firmly in place, unwilling to move even an inch because of his fear of the lava. Weighing the situation, Kalina's decided the fish no longer held any appeal. Kim, still gripping his fishing rod, stared at the beast in disbelief, wondering if it had already lost interest. A moment later, he watched as Kalina's leapt further back from the lava, reasoning that while the sight before him was curious, it was far from worth the risk of plunging into molten fire. With a determined expression, Kim decided it was time to move on to Plan B. He held up a glowing blue system window. Kim closed his eyes, an orb of light forming between his hands as a system window appeared above him. It indicated that he was initiating a recall, preparing to return to a previously registered point. Kim, in the midst of casting his recall spell, informed Kalina's that he would return as the system indicated his spell was in progress. Kalina's, seeing Kim vanish in a flash, expressed its surprise and concern, questioning if Kim was truly leaving it behind. Kalina's looked around the desolate landscape, wondering where Kim had disappeared to. Kim found himself in the grand and vibrant city of Granadia, a central hub for the light faction Serentium. His journey led him to the Adventurer's Warehouse, a bustling place where he could procure necessary supplies. A shopkeeper greeted him warmly, inquiring what items Kim as a butler might be looking for. Kim began to list his unusual requests, starting with sugarcane and ethereal spring water, before adding a climbing rope and dynamite to his urgent needs. The shopkeeper laid out the requested items, a collection that naturally prompted her to ask what Kim intended to use them for. Kim, holding the sugarcane, calmly explained that the items were for taming the monster, then casually added a catapult to his list, leaving the shopkeeper utterly bewildered by his strange objective. As Kim prepared to leave, a woman bid him well, praying for his victory. Despite her encouragement, Kim felt a nagging sense that he was overlooking something crucial. Kim's eyes widened in sudden realization, a forgotten detail suddenly coming to mind. His abrupt movements startled the nearby knight. With a confident smile, Kim explained that he had nearly forgotten one last item he needed before he could depart. The environment transformed into a vivid landscape with thick, gnarled tree roots emerging from a glowing, orange, lava-filled ground. Kim now stood at the base of a colossal, gnarled tree, its roots deeply embedded in the fiery, lava-filled landscape. Kim skillfully threw a grappling hook, the rope wrapping around the massive trunk of the bujanmak tree. He understood this unique, non-burning wood housed a monster that had developed fire resistance by consuming its bark and fruit. With a grunt of effort, Kim steadily climbed the rope, leaving a small, burning bundle of sugarcane trailing below him. Kim knew this particular monster had a strong affinity for sweet things, especially sugarcane. Kim recalled his past difficulties hunting this creature before he understood its habits, especially its tendency to hide within the lava when it sensed danger. From the dark opening in the tree, a faint hiss emerged, as if the monster inside was stirring. Kim stood upon a colossal, twisting tree-like structure, feeling the impact of resonant movements around him in the fiery red environment. Suddenly, a creature engulfed in orange-yellow flames materialized, loudly demanding to know who dared disturb its slumber. Proclaiming itself the great Kerberos, guard dog of the underworld, with a bundle of sugarcane lying below it. The fiery creature flickered, emitting soft sniffing sounds as it seemed to search the immediate area, its form near the sugarcane. The fire mouse cautiously looked around near the large tree structure, as if checking for any lingering presence. The fire mouse, seemingly distracted, began to consume the sugarcane with audible chewing sounds. A system window appeared, informing Kim that the ethereal spring water he was pouring from a jug could extinguish even powerful flames and would remove a target's fire resistance for 5 minutes, as he looked on with a subtle smirk. As Kim poured the special water, it streamed down from his position onto the fire mouse below, causing a hissing sound upon contact. He mused that if one were to consider a cat's favorite prey throughout history, the first choice would undoubtedly be a mouse, Kim concluded, just as the formerly fiery creature, now a red mouse covered in water droplets, expressed its shock. A system window appeared, identifying the creature as Fire Ra, level 33, capable of fire attribute magic and a gigantify skill. The mouse shrieked in outrage, demanding to know what had been done to it, while Kim leapt down from the tree, releasing a triumphant laugh. With a playful smile and his tongue slightly out, Kim then affectionately told the mouse that it was cute as always. The creature furiously declared that Kim needed to be taught a lesson for daring to call it by a nickname. Kim, thoroughly amused, only chuckled and remarked that the fiery little mouse looked even cuter when it tried to act tough.